Hello, this is Brett Ratner, the director and executive producer of Prison Break, and I'm sitting here with
Mark Helfrich, and I'm the editor of this pilot episode.
Gail Berman called me from Fox and said, I have an incredible show that you have to read. I'd only done one other pilot in the past and actually didn't get picked up. But I read it and I was like, how is this going to work? I was fascinated by it and intrigued. And when I sat with Paul Schering and he went through not only the whole season, but the second season and the third season and the fourth season, he had this whole thing mapped out, I said, I got to do this. And not only with that, but the script was brilliantly well executed. And I said to the studio, I said, I'll do this, but on one condition, that I get my team. And I got Mark Helfrich, who's cut all my movies and, all my work for the past 10 years. And Dante Spinotti, my cinematographer, who shot my last 3 films and just shot X-Men for me. And I said, let's see if we could do this, an hour of film in 14 days. Mark laughed and couldn't believe that I could actually do it. And we went off to Chicago. And actually, I brought my AD, Jamie Freitag, as well. So we dove in. The casting was very difficult. I think we were having a hard time trying to figure out who was going to play Michael Scofield. I was about to do Superman, and Wentworth Miller came in and auditioned for me and did such a brilliant job. He didn't end up getting the job, and I ended up leaving the project, but I never forgot him. And I brought him up to the studio, and they brought him in, and he got the job. And I can't see anybody else playing this character. He's really has an incredible kind of Steve McQueen coolness to him.
The vault. Open it.
We can't.
I just thought the combination between him and Dominic Purcell, who plays Lincoln Burrows, a lot of these shows are successful because of the chemistry of the main characters. And these two guys, you totally believe they're brothers.
They totally look like brothers. Yeah.
And they look like brothers, yeah. So that was good. The visuals are working here.
And Wentworth has such a presence. I mean, he doesn't even have to speak. His looks are so powerful that I think, the whole series is resting on him, and he's carrying it.
Well, a lot's going on in his head. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's a smart actor, and he's always thinking. You could tell when he's, even when he's not saying much, he's in the moment, and a lot is going on in his brain. I think the casting of the show is really the reason why it's been so successful.
Your Honor, we'd like to recess if we could. My client's a bit confused.
Robin Tunney came on as Veronica, and she's a fantastic actress. And Amaury Nolasco, who came in audition, I remember the audition, and he stole the part. I mean, he was brilliant. He was the perfect cellmate to Wentworth because he's an animated guy, a guy who kind of is not as smart. And so the contrast between these two guys, him being the fish out of water in the cell,
Wentworth being so serious,
and Amaury just being inquisitive about life and passionate about his fiance. They have an incredible chemistry as well. I think all the characters in the show, Stacy Keach, who plays the warden, amazing chemistry between him and Wentworth. And
he's not going to take this well.
Can you blame him? He's your nephew. He's beginning to get the idea that anybody he attaches himself to is going to end up in prison. And he's not the only one.
Again, the casting was key in this. The script was fantastic, but material like this comes along once in a while, and when
it's very rare, and it's Paul's doing, really. I mean, the script is tight, and it doesn't answer any of the questions in the pilot. It just begs to have you, it calls you to sit down and watch the rest of the series.
And that's why I think I was able to shoot it in 14 days, because the script was so tight. It was written so well that there wasn't a lot of figuring it out as I went, which happens a lot in feature films, when you're writing and rewriting.
However, the fact that you discharged a deadly weapon during the...
I don't think we changed barely anything from the script process to the shooting. I don't think there was a lot of changes in the process. I think these actors came prepared, knew their lines, and we shot exactly what was on the page, and that's what you see here.
And they were sort of put in the same predicament as being put in the real story, because they didn't know where these characters were going to end up, whether they'd live or die, whether they'd actually make it out of prison.
Yeah.
In fact, we're recording this commentary right now, and I don't even know what happens. I'm watching week to week, wondering, how does this origami swan fit into the whole thing? I'm waiting for the answers that were set up all in this pilot episode.
I gotta say right here, this helicopter shot is some of the best footage in the show, and I didn't even shoot it. Our production manager, Gary Brown, who's now the producer of the show, went up there and I said, I need some great helicopter footage, and some of the best footage in the show. This scene here actually
was shot two ways.
With underwear and without underwear. So I have the R version of this scene with all these guys' bare asses on the screen, which is more realistic. When you go into that room, that little closet room that they went into, what they actually do, the prisoners actually do, is they bend over and they get their buttholes inspected. So that's what they're actually doing in there.
Commandments don't mean a box of piss in here. We got 2 commandments and 2 only. The first commandment is you got nothing coming.
What's the second commandment?
See commandment number 1.
Gotcha.
You talking out the side of your neck.
Come again?
I said, are you being a smart ass?
There was a guy who was a real prison guard on set, and he wore this cap. And I thought it was the most incredible cap. And I said, please, please, I know you seem really attached to this cap. And he was the sweetest prison guard I've ever met in my life. I said, can you give the cap in the last second to Wade? Because usually we would just make it. And he gave the cap to Wade, and that's part of his character now, that hat. He just totally took on the persona of this real prison guard.
This shot right here, the wide shot of the prison, that prison does not exist in that
The
size.
cells were so much smaller than they are in the show. The hallways were, it was literally the most claustrophobic thing you've ever seen in your life. And that's why I think what brought a lot of the realism to the show, because we were working in below zero temperatures.
What are you gonna serve it for you?
This is the prison where John Wayne Gacy was.
Yeah.
This is, in fact, I think you actually shot in the very cell that he was in solitary there.
And so I think that helps the actors being in a real location, in the environment, because there's a lot of, ghosts around there. And it really, the church is the real church. The solitary was the real cell. Paul had a vision to have a 3-tiered cell block, especially for the riot scenes. That happened, I think, is in episode 6. And so he really wanted to have a 3-tier prison, so we ended up building it, which it was very expensive to build, but we ended up building it at the prison, though.
That's not worth it.
And then we digitally made it even larger than what the set was.
And it was,
to
because
make
it was very
look
small,
like
very
a huge,
claustrophobic.
huge.
I offered to use really wide lenses, but Paul just had a specific vision for it, and I said, okay, we'll make it work.
Yeah, but he didn't. He just sort of rolled over. He didn't put up a fight. It's not like...
This is some of the most beautiful photography, I think, in the show. Dante did such a great job here. This was at a real location we found in Chicago. He just made Robin look really, really gorgeous. These are real signs. Sit down when shots are fired. All the signs at the prison are all real, and I put them predominantly in the frame because I thought they were so incredible and realistic.
Got the hoops. Norteño's got the bleachers. Wood's got the weight pile. The CEO's got the rest.
We moved some of the things around as far as like where the workout sections were, where the bleachers were, but this is the real prison yard.
Who's the pet lover?
There's Muse Watson, great actor. He was fantastic. He plays Westmoreland. If you notice this guy in the back, right here, this guy, the big guy, he was an extra who was a friend of mine he's probably in every shot in the whole show, but he's a big part for an extra, but he did a great job. My approach to shooting this was fast.
Faster than he's ever shot before.
Faster than I've ever shot before.
But, the look of this pilot looks like a film, like your other films. It's really handsome. Oh, here on the cover of this magazine, you might want to talk about Rosalind.
This is Rosalind Sanchez, the star of Rush Hour 2, who happens to be, for those of you who don't know, Amaury's sister. Rosalind Sanchez, Amaury's sister, and she's on the cover of the magazine.
They call each other brother and sister. They're not really brother and
Yeah,
sister.
they are.
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
I think
they are.
Amaury said Yeah, she's my sister.
Oh, I see. And that tunnel was built. That was a set piece because, of course, we couldn't get down there in the tunnels with the camera.
Which means no one up this river is more dangerous than him. But he's got nothing to lose now. What are they going to do? Kill him twice? Is there a way I can get to him? I don't know. The only time those boys...
My operator is a guy named Gary J, who's operated a few of my films. And he's Michael Mann's operator, and he's brilliant. I mean, he did such a great job and really helped with shooting, getting a lot of setups in the day. I mean, it was freezing. I mean, literally freezing, below zero. It was impossible to even be outside for some of this stuff. And I felt bad because these guys just had like T-shirts and these thin jackets on underneath and thick socks, but everyone was freezing.
So it really made them feel like they were in prison.
I thought that Dominic...
Because he's my brother.
Oh, here.
Now, these bumpers, I created the bumpers out of footage from different films like Apollo 13, I think Matrix and Panic Room, and sped them up and flopped them and turned them inside out and put them at the end of every act because I wanted to simulate going through the tunnels, because I knew the end of the pilot ended with going through the tunnels. And they liked it so much that they had to go shoot all these fancy corridors.
And they went back and recreated it, basically, because those are the exact bumpers that Mark came up with.
They even aired some of them on the promos, the ones from those movies. You can go check them out.
I swear to you, Michael.
Wentworth, I think, did a brilliant job here. Wentworth, in my opinion, can do anything. I mean, he pulls off the dramatic moments in the show and the emotional moments. And you're with him. I mean, he's carrying the show from beginning to end, and you care about his character. You want his brother to get out. You want him to help him get his brother out. You care about the relationship between him and Amaury and Sucre here, and his relationship between him and his brother. You know, you really care about these characters, and you're invested. And I think it's a lot of credit is to the writing. You know, the writing is really well done. There's a lot of emotion in this story. It's not just about a bunch of guys in prison and a prison break. It's really about the relationships in these characters. I think that's why people keep tuning back in to see it every week, because people want to see what happens to these characters. And not, you know, maybe Wentworth is going to, you know, Michael Schofield's going to be someone's favorite characters. Maybe someone else is going to love Sucre, going to relate to Sucre. Someone else is going to feel for Lincoln Burrows. So there's a lot of colorful characters.
I don't know who's going to feel for Teabag, but...
No, but they're going to feel
he's
something.
He's so great.
They're going to not want Teabag to get out, to escape. They're going to be hoping that he doesn't escape.
He's such a great character.
This here's Marshall Allman, LJ, who's a great young actor. He's a young guy, and he reminds me actually of a young Marlon Brando.
He plays a really good juvenile delinquent in this episode.
We understand?
This is another brilliant helicopter shot. I mean, unbelievable how they started on that close-up of the guard and then revealed and pulled back and see the whole yard. And here you can see this is a cold day. Right here. My favorite guy, Peter Stormare, Abruzzi. He's just fantastic. This actor is so unique and so interesting, and I guess he's so Swedish and just has an incredible delivery and style. I was sad to see him go, but I'm looking forward to seeing him.
I don't even know. I mean, you see him on commercials every week now. He's selling Volkswagens.
Yeah, of course. I love the origami thing. I used origami, of course, in Red Dragon, which is my movie, which is the prequel to Silence of the Lambs. And the tattoo, I got the guy who did the tattoo for Red Dragon, Tom Bird, to come in, and he did a brilliant job in designing the tattoo and executing that tattoo. And I'm sure you'll see more about it on the DVD.
All right, guys, pick it up. I want to get home tonight.
This is Gianni Russo. He's been in a bunch of movies for me. He was...
Plus he was in The Godfather.
He was in The Godfather. He was the guy who was married to Sonny Corleone's sister. He was the one who Sonny beat up with the garbage cans. And he's been in a lot of my films, and he was fantastic. He plays a great mafia guy.
Here's Sarah.
Sarah Wayne Callies, the beautiful Sarah Wayne Callies.
Great.
Amazing. Again,
I saw this footage and
chemistry
instantly thought that they should be together.
Yeah.
They haven't got together yet, but I'm waiting.
Great chemistry between these two as well. I mean, Wentworth and her are just And I know they've become good friends since this, but just the chemistry between these two is really fantastic. She's just so real and such a good actor. Really a good actor. I love shooting these scenes, and I love the light in the scene, you know, with the bright blown out windows. And
look at that reaction. She is really a great actress, and her whole body, the way she's sitting there, it's so real.
Yeah.
It was just a total pleasure to cut these scenes because everybody in this whole pilot was great. See, whose idea was it for her to put the pen in her mouth?
That was hers, Mark.
See?
She's just beautiful and great to work with.
Plus, her character's name is Sarah. It's easy to remember because that's her real name.
Dr. Sarah Tancredi.
Tancredi.
Insulin as if I'm administering it.
Here's again Mark's idea. These tunnels were... This is a stock shot, I guess. We didn't go to Washington, D.C. These guys were great. I love these guys.
Except for one thing, Bishop McMorrow is not in the fold. He's got a lot of influence with the governor. They went to prep school together, apparently.
Danny McCarthy and Paul Adelstein, great actors, both of them. Great chemistry between these two guys, and really solid actors. Paul Adelstein, a Jewish friend of mine, but he's definitely a badass.
He's creepy in this role.
Yeah. Here's the real church at the prison.
Sinful men and be crucified, and the third day rise again.
I abbreviated the scripture here.
Yeah.
It went on for a while. I had to cut it down.
Let's go.
This was an important moment because it's the first moment that
the brothers see each other.
That Lincoln
prison.
sees Michael, and it had to be heartfelt, emotional, but you still had to be surprised.
Why?
It's exciting to shoot a pilot and be part of the whole casting process, and the whole process of making, doing the first episode and then seeing it every week on television. It's the most exciting thing, and seeing how they're using the actors that I had in smaller parts and how their parts continue to grow and the dynamics. And I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm missing out because I'm not there with them.
You created a family and then left town.
And then I abandoned the family. But I definitely want to come back and do another episode because I love these guys. And I had so much fun making the show. And I just feel like, oh my God, because I turn on the TV and I see them and I'm like, this is so weird. Why aren't I there right now?
I'm not.
And even great actors and actresses you have in this pilot, they're now dead in the show.
Yeah, they killed
them.
them.
So they can't come. They kill off all these people. Wait, you never know what's going to happen.
Passion? What were you thinking?
Hey, you went for it.
She probably thinks I went sissy up in here. Passion.
And Paul was smart. See how you could see the depth up there? First of all, in the real cell block, there's only one cells on one side, so you would be looking at a brick wall. So the depth here is fantastic. That's why I shot these low angles and I kind of showed off, the distance between the other cells. It was really great.
No. One syllable, man.
See, Michael, he can be serious and smart, yet he has that smile that makes you really, really identify with him and like him.
Stacy Keach, I'm a big fan. I mean, always been a big fan. I thought he was great choice for casting, and totally bought him as the warden. But, he's not the typical cliched warden. He's not the badass warden, the mean warden. This is a warden with a heart. And that's what I loved about it. And when he walked into that room and showed him the Taj Mahal, I just thought, wow, this show has a lot of different layers. It's just so smart, and it makes you like this guy. It makes you feel for him. It makes you care about him.
He's a warden with a heart.
Yeah.
That Taj Mahal is hilarious. Look at it. I hope his wife really appreciates this when she gets it for their anniversary. What's she going to do with it? It's a warden with a lot of time on his hands if he could have built that. The score by Ramin Djawadi is fantastic throughout the series. And he hits little subtle notes, like every time you see the origami, you'll hear this flute. He had this nice flourish when we saw the Taj Mahal the first time. He really keeps the episodes driving and tense.
I can't do it.
Son, it's better for me to owe you one in here than it is for you to owe me one. I can promise you that.
What are you trying to do, set a record?
I love Jessalyn. She was in Nip Tuck. She's a great actress, and she did a great job. I was sorry to see her go. All my actors are dying off, Mark.
I know.
Every week. I just love the performances in this show. I mean, just very subtle, and that coupled with Dante's photography and my direction, Mark's editing, it was chemistry across the board. Paul was a great collaborator, and he did so much research. I think his family was in the prison business. I think they worked at prisons, and he had so much knowledge of prison life, and that he really brought a lot to the script. And his instincts were fantastic. He was just a great partner and a great collaborator, and it was a wonderful experience working with him on this, because his insight. And, I went to some prisons. And
you spent how many years in prison?
I spent a few years in prison, but I was in solitary, so I didn't really mingle with the other prisoners.
This is a great scene that my top-notch assistant, Julia Wong, actually edited. It was just Julia and myself the whole time. That was the whole crew, post-production crew on this pilot.
I have to say, I know the show is hot because more girls have called me to get Wentworth Miller's phone number than any other thing I've ever done. And I've worked with some amazing, very handsome, studly actors. And I mean, the girls are going, I can't go anywhere without 5 girls coming up to me going, "Can you please fix me up with Wentworth Miller?" So I know.
Plus, you put him in the video with.
Oh, right. I forgot. I directed the Mariah. After I did the show hadn't come out yet, and I directed the Mariah Carey videos, her first 2 videos from her new album, and I said, "You got to be in these videos," and I brought him down.
You told Mariah, you said, you got to see this guy.
You got to see this guy. I showed her pictures. She loved him. I showed her the pilot, actually. Mariah loved the pilot. We put him in the videos. Wentworth told me that he gets more fan mail for those videos than he does even for Prison Break, because they're everywhere in the world. And, Prison Break isn't everywhere yet, but it's getting there. It's starting to come out everywhere.
This is desperate.
I love how he just downplays everything. It's just simple.
He's so cool, and he's got a plan.
Yeah. He's always thinking.
And we don't know what that plan is.
Yeah. That shot right there, he could not stand outside. Dominic could not stand outside while we were saying, "Ready, and action." He just had to step out and then come right back in, because it was literally that cold. I love the Bishop. He was fantastic. I think he came in and read on something else, and I just said, "You got to be the Bishop." He did a great job.
The shortest lived character in the series.
Yeah. This was a house in Chicago that we kind of decorated with a lot of crucifixes.
How could I not? In this case, we're hoping you'll suspend that position.
I was really blown away by the production design on the show. With the amount of money that Gary Frukoff had, I just thought he did a really brilliant job, very rich, very realistic. I love the bedroom of the Bishop, which was incredible. Again, one of these Gary Brown helicopter shots. I mean, awesome.
I love Abruzzi's greasy hair look.
Yeah.
It's perfect for that.
I love shooting people on phones.
Yep, hear that flute?
That's the theme for the origami.
Yeah.
That's the origami theme. The show has so much color. The fact that Westmoreland is possibly D.B. Cooper, and every storyline has like a cliffhanger on it. You're waiting to find out that. You're waiting to discover, is Dominic really guilty? Is he not guilty? Is Amaury going to hook up with his fiance when he gets out? So you're waiting. I mean, every single storyline, you're just waiting to discover so much information that it's impossible not to tune in. And people are so hooked on this show. It's unbelievable.
And it all stemmed from the pilot script. And I have to say, it's very rare to cut a script, edit together a script, and not have a few scenes that you take out because they just don't work. I don't think there is one scene that was shot that's not in this pilot.
There is one scene that was reshot because we lost an actor.
Right.
That was Nadine Velasquez, played Maricruz. They went back and redid it with a new actor, shot by shot, frame by frame.
Word for word.
Word for word.
Everything.
It's
a carbon copy. It's really eerie to see that scene because everything's identical except the actress.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
One of my favorite movies was Bad Boys, not the Martin Lawrence Bad Boys, but the Sean Penn Bad Boys. And I watched those fight scenes, and they were so brutal. And we used the sock here filled with maybe something.
Soap. I asked, what's in the sock? And they said it's soap.
It was one of the scenes that I love from Bad Boys when Sean Penn was hitting the guy with the soda cans in the sock. And it was, so graphic. We couldn't get that graphic here, but I was very happy with how this fight turned out.
This is the properly propagated scene.
This is the real office of the warden on the second floor or the third floor of the prison.
Right.
That was an insert that was done later. So you have the ticking clock of when he's going to, what date it is now and when it's going to happen. So people are kind of anxious and go, oh my God, 90 days from now his brother's going to get executed. They've been really stretching it out.
It was 90 days when we shot it, and then I thought they made it 30 days in post. They dubbed in in 30 days or in 1 month, I think.
Won't provide anywhere near the sheer strength the completed structure will need.
How much work are we talking?
You want it by when?
Again, great camera work from Gary J. I mean, incredible handheld work. I love seeing the smokestack out there.
That was a day shot we made night.
I love this interior. I think Gary Frukoff did a brilliant job.
That headboard's great.
That headboard is it's like from 1800 or something. It's like, I tried to steal it, but I couldn't fit it on the plane with me going back.
Then I shot this next insert, this.
You shot that?
Yeah, I shot that. I shot all the inserts on that.
Mark's very good at inserts, actually.
Who's there?
Hopefully Mark will get to direct an episode. He was supposed to direct an episode, was it 13, 14? But unfortunately, he was editing X-Men for me, so.
Bishop McMorrow was killed last night.
I love the names. Paul just came up. I don't know how I'm sure someone should ask Paul, how did you come up with Bishop McMorrow and all the characters, Westmoreland and all the characters? I'm sure they're all like friends of his or his cousins or his... Here again, another insert that helps just drive the plot forward. I love that. It's never too late to mend. That's really in the floor in Solitary. This is a spooky, spooky room right here.
Yeah, and this is the John Wayne Gacy cell right here.
Couldn't imagine being in that cell for 50 years.
You got a visitor.
This is a cage that we built in one of the... I don't remember what this room was before, but we built this and made it a visiting room.
He was arrested.
For what?
What kind of food did they serve in prison there?
Wasn't good.
So not only did they have to suffer through the cold and long hours, but they got to eat prison food.
If you commit a crime, let me tell you something for all the criminals out there. You do not want to do it in Chicago. You do not want to do it. You want to do it in Miami, okay? The weather is much better, trust me. These guys are suffering. We're suffering just shooting out there for a week. I couldn't imagine being there for 30 years in the cold.
Well, they shut down this prison. Why? Because it was inhumane or something?
No.
Why did they shut down this prison?
Because they built another one, a new state-of-the-art prison, I think, down the road. And there is a prison right next door, which is for all the sex offenders. A much smaller prison only with sex offenders.
Next season on Fox.
I did the same thing. Punished the old man because he was gone. Look where it got me.
I thought that Dominic did a brilliant job in this scene. He was great. He's actually a father himself, and I think he didn't have to dig too deep to go here, but he really did a brilliant job. And once he gets over his You know, he's Australian. He went to acting school with Hugh Jackman.
Does he have an accent?
He does. He talks with an accent. He struggles with it, but I told him it sounds great. You don't have to worry about it. And he would say, how's my accent sound? How's my accent sound? Once he gets past that, he just gets in the moment, and he's really a fantastic actor.
You're already dead to me.
Here's the scene with Merricruz that was reshot frame by frame. And even the way he stands up and scratches his head.
Everything.
Every detail of the...
And both actresses were wonderful, too. It's just, I think the
They used
original
the same
actress
room,
had
same set dressing.
a commitment that she couldn't do the series or something, that after all. Because the pilot is shot months before the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So I think something happened in the interim and she got another job or something like that.
Wow. The other
Same
actor
bra,
didn't have
wasn't
that. So that's the one scene in the pilot that I didn't shoot, but it was a carbon copy of the scene that I shot.
I like to get to know my patients. I went to Northwestern, graduated 2 years after you did.
Maybe we met before, drunk.
I like this little flirting scene with Sarah and Wentworth. I have to say Betsy Hyman did the costume design, and she had worked with me on several of my films, on The Family Man and Red Dragon, and she's brilliant. She works with Tarantino and Soderbergh. She did Reservoir Dogs and Out of Sight and
Pulp Fiction.
She did Reservoir Dogs. She did Pulp Fiction. She does all the Cameron Crowe movies. She just worked with M. Night Shyamalan. And she's amazingly talented. So.
See this shot right here? It pans down to his hand that shakes. We were worried that you wouldn't catch that it was shaking, so we put this little rattlesnake sound effect over it. Hopefully it got across, because his body is reacting to the insulin shots that he's getting.
You know.
I think they need more scenes in the conjugal room here.
So he offered me a ride. It was really sweet. Honey.
When I cut this scene, I thought, hey, he's not married. Do they give conjugal visits to girlfriends at this prison? Then I told that to Paul, and he must have written it into like episode 3 or 4. They explained, well, hey, Bellick said, I let you have girlfriends come.
Yeah.
So it was all explained that way, because I thought conjugal was only for married inmates, which I think it is, but
this is
an exception.
Anything's possible in Prison Break.
You never know.
Look at the production value. Helicopter.
That helicopter.
That was a helicopter shot doing the aerial shots.
Probably was.
Here's Rahman Dunbar. I'm a fan of his, and
I love seeing the breath. You can't fake that as well as the real thing.
you know, I love how the exposition doesn't feel like exposition. It feels like a great scene. You know, it's not just information, and we got a lot of information right there.
It's very difficult to introduce a dozen characters in less than an hour, and that's what this pilot does so well.
I don't know what you did, but Abruzzi wanted me to give you this PI card.
Kudos fish.
Kudos fish. Kudos. Abruzzi.
All right, Cons, break it down.
Break it down, Cons.
Oh,
See,
you know the voice in the visitation room, the guy who says, "Time's up." That was Jamie Freitag's voice.
That was my assistant director.
Saw Veronica came by yesterday. Still engaged that guy?
Yep.
Could have been me.
Sharp eyes will catch that was the wrong color paint in those paint cans. They were painting the walls white, and those are green paint cans, but that shot of Abruzzi and his crony there looking on, that was shot on the location of the video, of the Mariah Carey video.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because
I was in one room and you
I needed another piece for the show, and I was shooting a music video, and I just told them, I said, hey, just come down to the set, and we'll just set it up. We
outside these walls.
I think it's wonderful to shoot on location, which is what this is, and to be there and be in the real place, you know, with the real lockers and the real prison garb and the real
Whatever you got going on, fill me in. 'Cause I'm in the dark here.
The smell of the prison, the sound of the metal, the cells slamming and all that stuff, it just adds such a great, it's another character. The prison is another character, and it's wonderful visually. I mean, we couldn't have built this, obviously.
You've seen the blueprints?
Better than that. I've got him on me.
Here's Tom Berg's brilliant work, brilliant design.
And that's just the upper half of the tattoo.
Yeah, the whole, it's, yeah.
Am I supposed to be seeing something here?
Look closer.
Jerry Puller did our visual effects on the pilot, and I thought he did a really great interpretation of, I said somehow we have to show the audience that there's some kind of design within the design. And this, again, Mark's ingenious kind of bumpers, which I think the show needed. The energy and the it wouldn't have been as exciting, I think, without it. I think the bumpers were kind of, I heard the same thing happen on 24 where they came up with some,
the ticking ding,
yeah,
ding, ding.
They came up with
clock.
that in the last minute. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Agatha Warren, I got to give her a shout out because she
fantastic post
supervisor
and associate
producer and did a great job, and it was a great experience, and I'm very proud of the show and my work on the show, and I thought everybody did such a great job, and I hope you enjoyed watching it and hearing us talk about it, and I hope you get some more insight in the process. It wasn't easy. There I am, Rat Entertainment.